Hey, what's up, viewer? Welcome back to this nebulous live development creation series. I meant to put forth another hour or two on day 7, but I did not manage to get that done, so here I am now on day 8, hour 1, and I have the same mission to accomplish. I need to wrap up this research system example for creating a video clip of the mechanics up to this point and how they're supposed to operate. Alright, so the last time I was setting this up, it was mechanically working, but the math was incorrect. So if I start bumping the economy up here, it is what I was noticing, more or less. The investment value is scaling incorrectly. So if I kick it off at 0.02, so that's 200ths of a percent. It shouldn't be going up by close to 20%. It's just way off. Like, if I bring the calculator over here and take a look, if we have 5 times 1.002, or I guess in this case it's 1.02. A 2% bump to 5 should just be 5.1. Instead we're getting 6.1. So it's up a whole 20%-ish. So it's almost like it's multiplying, what, 5 times 1.2 something? Whoops. Now we're pushing 6. So for some reason my math's off point. And I just remembered, now that I'm thinking about it, it was like the issue is actually that, and let's take a look at the player data, the issue is simply that I'm not updating the displayed value properly. So let's take a look here. The displayed value is correct, more or less. The only issue is the total econ gain per ticket is just too high. Okay, so I'm very simply screwing up my math somewhere. Pretty straightforward. So let me jump into the iterate player economy script, which I already had open. And I'm going to take a look here. Well, after I tell my cat to get out of here. Get out of here, kitty. Come on, man, we'll go do something else. I'm busy right now. Alright, so the issue here is the fact that this number is accurate. The gain per tick is just wrong. The total econ infrastructure okay, so once again, if I bust open the calculator here and kind of do an example code, or like run this through, theoretically speaking, I'm looking at, let's say, total econ infrastructure is 5, the base value. So it's going to be 5 plus 5 times the player data econ research, which is still just 0.02 at this point. So 0.1. So it should just say 5 plus 0.1. It actually is, this is exactly the math as defined. This percentage is accurate. Probably need to open up the debugger in a second, but let's see where else am I doing some math here. So here's the economy plus the econ gain per tick. And the tick is supposed to just equal this. I wasn't even doing this in the example. It might be incorrect though. Alright. Debugger time, I really am not sure. Total econ infrastructure is 5. That makes sense. Sector tech, investment, parallel value, econ research. Yeah, I just honestly don't understand where I'm messing this up. So I'm going to give this a second to do its thing here. And then enter play mode. And once it's configured in debug runtime, I can use the debugger, and I can very simply jump in here and hit the economy plus, and we do get to a breakpoint. So let's take a look here. So we're looking at invested.value 0.001, and it's adding it again. So it should go up again, but I'm assuming it is post adding this. Total economy gain per tick 5.005. Total economy 5. Total economy 5. Player data economy research 0.001% of 5 does happen to be 5.005. So that's accurate. It's just a percentage of the total econ, or of the total economy infrastructure. So 5.005, and that's after the round. So it makes it 5,005 and then divides it by 3 again to put it back. Alright, so that math is correct, so let's step into this. Step into it again. I guess I can step out of this part. And the text is 0. So let me step over. Now the text is 0.001. That's correct. And then it's going to enqueue this. And it is null. So it's going to skip this. And here I'm changing this list. Okay, so here's where it might be screwing up. So let's step over this. So the total economy is whatever, and it's simply being added by total economy gain per tick. And then the total economy is going to round. Alright, so it's greater than or equal to 0. Less than 0, it's skipped. So if 30 minus... Oh. It's a little janky. Okay, so here displayed total economy is just matching. So 30.5 is correct, 5.05. It doesn't seem to be this issue here. However, when I deactivate it, alright, so let me see if I bump this back up to 0.1%. Oops, fucked it up. Okay, so it looks like I am missing one integral step here. And, whoops. I saw that for a split second and went back. It went up again. So when I click this, does it go up multiple times? Okay, so I'm screwing up something in the research investment buttons. I'm screwing up when I clear the investment button. So I'm a little confused here because this wasn't happening in infrastructure code. If I cleared the element, it would, this is claiming that it will actually bump my total every time. So let me double check this. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention properly last time. So if I select this, I can click clear, but if I click clear, it should not go from +5 to +6, but it does. Okay, so I simply just discovered a bug. So how can I guard this? Let's see here. If I only want to more or less do this stuff here if alright, so more or less. And I'm doing it in all these same spots, so I'm probably going to try and clam it all in here. So let's see, on the clear, clear, and clear, we have to say if player data dot current active selection dot get component I'll say infrastructure because they all have to be different. And we'll just we'll just go like this for now, for compiling sake. So if the current active selection has economy infrastructure, more or less do this. But more specifically, if oh darn, look at that, screwed it up down here. Okay, so instead of what I've got to do is I have to check the, forgetting the list, current investing list contains player data current active selection get component. Do all this stuff. And in this light, we can only iterate the economy, set the button to enabled, and mess around with the lists if it's actually in there. So now I more or less have to do the exact same thing down here. And it basically is exactly the same thing, isn't it? So it's like all of this just gets moved up. And this is just almost the same as this whole thing here, with just the component difference to say scanning range here. Same thing to the bottom. Throw this all in there. And then we will put this all in here and change it to scanning frequency. And now we have that part should be guarded now, but what we haven't done is guarded this one. So more or less we just have to do the same thing. And I thought of a way to not have to write the switch case twice. So I'll consider whether or not I'm going to switch that or not. But for now, it's basically just in the clear buttons. It's okay. So it's just the same thing here. So we're looking at player data.current list, current investing list.contains, and if it contains an investment as a component, then we are okay to do all of these things. And now if I enter play mode, and I select this, and I click the clear button, shouldn't be having this problem anymore, and it's not even throwing an error, so it's proper, so it's very intelligently doing what it's supposed to be doing. And if I come over here and I click economy, now we're seeing the deficit increase by the percentile value properly. So if I cancel it here, so now we're at 0.01%, and it's screwed up again. Okay, so adding or reduce the deficit. Or no, it's almost acting like adding did not reduce the deficit. In fact. It is, but it's not starting out correctly reducing the deficit. So let me see here. It should be. So that's a little bizarre. If I add the... So clicking add should actually reduce it to 4. Okay, so that's a bug. That I've now noticed. Which is why it goes up to 6 as opposed to 5. Alright, so I guess we're looking at debugger again because I'm not sure. I didn't spell it wrong or something, did I? Total economy gain per tick. It should just go down by a flat value. And then over here. Okay, so I'm accidentally overriding it. Is mainly what's wrong here. So if it's down 1, it needs to go down. Alright, so I can see where I'm screwing up my math, but I'm not sure how to fix it off the top of my head. So the economy gain per tick is modified elsewhere. It's being hard assigned here, which is why it's wiping that value. And I don't have a true deficit notion for this, do I? So now I've got the total economy infrastructure giving the correct base economy value, but not okay, so the idea I had was take the list of active investments, or more specifically, investment parallel value. I think will work. So player data dot total economy gain per tick minus equals player data investment parallel value and here I'm actually needing a ternary because it's conditional upon player data dot list current investing list dot count. So if player data dot current investing list dot count is less than, oh no, it doesn't matter, does it? So it's down. I guess that's a good point. It's not down. It doesn't actually go down for every single. It doesn't actually go down for every single thing in the queue. It actually only goes down by the investment parallel value. Because it's only going to tick out it's only going to tick out that value, or the maximum deficit is limited by the investment parallel capacity. There's one bug here where the player has to be able to afford. Oh no, it doesn't matter. The deficit is just. There's some more stuff that has to go into this for the case of ticking the economy negative, which I'll have to deal with, but for now I'm just going to leave it at this. And if I'm doing it like this, I never actually have to do this part here, because that is getting modded anytime the list changes. So I'm going to yank this. I'm actually just going to have to yank these. And then I'm also going to yank these as well. Looks like. And it's just going to change this elsewhere. So same thing over here. We're going to yank these two lines that affect total tick out of these codes, and now let's take a look. And I can't remember if I had the debugger on anything. Let me take a quick look here. There might be a hotkey to clear it quicker that I'm not familiar with. It looks like I don't have it running. Okay. Alright, so now we should have the accurate deficit calculation. I really am considering colors, using some colors for this, just for polish. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like focusing on polish just quite yet. Is all really okay. So now if I select this and I invest, that's accurate. Kind of. The only concern would be that the math is acting as if the multiplier is going off of the base. I guess it is going off the base economy. So I guess that makes sense. Alright, so let me back out of this. And after doing that, it in fact did not revert properly. So even though I exited, it did not. Alright, so I messed up a little bit because it actually was still running the iterate economy script here. So let's see, if I'm actually, this can be 0 is the point. And as soon as it hits 0, the base economy is still multiplying correctly, so it should effectively reduce the total economy gain by 0. And should actually be reverting it to 5 point whatever. Not permanently reducing the total tick value. Although I guess it should matter. I don't think it should matter. So let's take a look here. So okay, so you're getting here, and values +1. Total economy gain is at 4 because infrastructure is 5. Infrastructure times economy is 0.001. So it should have been 5.005, and then there's only one investment, so it should go down to 4.005. That's all correct. Alright, so let's reset the debugger, and now we will do the same thing, but we will investigate. Oh crap. Let's see if I can. Okay, no. I'm not actually sure how to debug this because it's going to. Oops, let's screwed up my cursor. Basically, when I click this button. Okay, I see. I think I understand what's going on. So when I click that button, it removes this from happening because there's nothing in. There's no more economy research type. So it doesn't get the opportunity to revert this. Therefore, I am inclined to okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to stop mixing systems together. I could go back to what I was doing and simply iterate the total economy gain per tick each time the player removes the object from the list. However, if I remove the economy research, it's going to add 1, which makes sense. Anytime one of them is removed, it should add 1. But then anytime one is added, that's not economy. It's not going to go into this block and update properly. So I'm wondering if the... No, I guess the tick only is upgrading in here. If there's economy research in play. Which makes sense because if it tweaks the economy, it's fixing the values. But then if I'm not tweaking the economy, it's almost like I do still need all this going on in here. Ah, shoot. I want that there. Oh, I did add them all at once, didn't I? Because I triple removed them, yes, okay. Same thing. Oh, that's fine like that. Alright, so if I add these all back in, essentially investing in a new value off the top is going to... Investing in a new value off the top that's not economy is just going to decrease total economy gain, and it won't run through the econ code, so it won't double erase it. And then as soon as I clear that, as long as there's a member, it goes back up. So the only exception then would be in economy code, because in economy code, if the economy infrastructure is still fine, it's under research investment. So if research investment then basically alright, so if it clears the econ investment, it has to reduce total economy gain manually, which is what it's doing here. Because removing this particular component makes sense, but if we are investing in economy, it does not have to do this. So if research type is not equal to economy, then it needs to manually update the player tick upon investment. However, if it is economy, as soon as it gets thrown into the system, it actually is going to manually update itself, is the idea. And then the second it gets removed, it can't update itself using that system, so it just has to make sure that it reverts it. Alright, so that was very nuanced. Let's take a look here. Alright, so now if we invest, see if I can maximize this. Alright. So we start investing. The cost goes down, but the tick is accurate here. We're familiar with the 0.02 value, so I will deactivate it at that. Alright, and that's accurate. So it removed it. It gave the economy bump, but it's still... And if I click this, it's not going to jank. Okay, so it does that properly. Okay, so it looks like it's working. So let's go over here and click clear. Nothing breaks. If I invest, okay. So for a split tick, or for one tick, it doesn't look like it works because it goes down but goes up in the same tick. But then it starts to climb. And then when you remove it, it ticks up once. So if you just want to sit here and let's see if I can actually do this. And that's kind of cute because you can see how much larger the econ investment makes here. So that's kind of interesting. The player can keep tabs on how much value is actually coming through, but so in this instance, the player actually has a permanent %4 of a percent to all economy values, which as soon as there's other planets involved or other celestials of some kind, any change that sun shading, I'm not super proud of it. It effectively becomes a global buff for all of them. Which is why I'm doing it like that, so I'll play around with this real quick. Make sure all the economy values are still proper. Alrighty, so looks like it's also functioning properly. Alright, so I guess that's working. Congratulations, congratulations. So now I'm going to have to set up the scanning range and the scanning frequency values to effectively act in the same manner anytime either of these go up. They multiply these final values on any active selection, so it's a little different in that regard. However, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about how I should do this. So basically now it works where the investment Alright, so this should be pretty straightforward. I just have to... Oh, actually, what I can do here is... What I really should do is go like this, and then make sure I change these to scanning range and scanning frequency. And the first thing I can do, I suppose, is check if they invest properly here. They aren't going to apply accurately to these values, but at least they should be investable. So let's take a look at this. Alright, so if we come over here and try to buff scanning range, it will okay, so it's not buffing the research values accurately. Whoops, and it screwed up. That was weird. I left play mode and it like screwed up. Okay, so that's different. Okay, so let me see here. What am I screwing up here? Let's see, research has these. I guess that's all I'm doing wrong here is I'm not... Oh, no, they are set up properly. Oh, no, they're not, because... Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're accurate here. Let me see. Did I forget to... No, I did initialize them. Okay, so I think I know what's going on. In the iterate player economy, I don't have a case for them. And I'm actually looking at using a switch case anyway, looks like. So the trusty dusty switch case. And the case is in fact type of economy infrastructure in this particular case. Uh-oh. So can I just go like this? No. Okay, so this is bizarre. I should be able to just go like this. I'm rather sure. Man, no kidding. it should be a constant type. I mean, it's the same exact thing as doing this, so... Can I, like, what, like, wrap it or something? What about economy, infrastructure, if I can get type? Type of? Type? Something, anything type? Nope. Man, okay, so... Darn, I thought I could... Darn, I'm surprised I can't just go like this. Alright, whatever, I guess I can't do this for now. Man, okay, so let me see here real quick. Okay, so go back here, C#, type as a case value. That just doesn't seem correct. I don't really need to declare a new type, do I? It's acting like I need to declare it one. Which is not correct, I just need a static conversion. Okay. I guess it's trying to say that it's not this simple. So you can switch on the name. I guess it's just not that straightforward, huh? I was under the impression I could... I'm not a fan of this, though. I'm really not a fan of that stuff. So I can use the name of type. And that has some good examples that there's some conflictions with abstractions. Alright, well, if it's going to be this complicated... Because I don't actually want to declare this here. Alright, whatever. So let's take another look at this. The switch case makes sense. Each loop is only going to be doing one thing. It doesn't need to run through there. So I at least want the switch case. So let's see, switch, and then we're saying invested dot... And I guess this is where it's getting a little funky because the type is... in the interface, it's not the concrete type. So even if I got the type, I don't have the capacity to Or maybe I can, in fact. So get type.name, for instance. And then case it out to what case. And then there is a name of option, name of economy infrastructure. And more or less just have to keep adding some, whoops, weird. And basically we're just casing these out here. And this one, we actually need one more here, don't we? Oh, we're gonna need like 6 more. So scanning range infrastructure. I'm actually gonna move, oops, move this one up. Scanning frequency infrastructure, economy, research. And it's just the same deal. Scanning range research and scanning frequency research. Then we're looking at, more or less, putting all this code into the proper switch case. I'm going to comment this out really quickly. And then econ infrastructure gains these. No comment though. Scanning, oh, economy research then would get these two. And let's just make sure this is working correctly. Kitty, go away. Go away for a bit, working on something. So let's just make sure I didn't break anything here. And I might as well stipulate it by activating the debugger. So that way I can take a look. We can just plan to take a look here. Alright, so let's just see if it catches properly. So if I do economy, okay, good, it got in there. So I think at the end of the day that's more efficient because it's using a switch case. Same thing for the infrastructure over here. It's running properly. Okay. So now we just have to implement the rest of these. I'm going to yank out these comments. And this is going to be like just a smidge quicker for this particular loop because it is in the update loop, so breaking it through a little quicker is probably not a bad idea, but it's a gigantic switch case. It really is. But more or less it's just gonna so once the if statement becomes large enough, or once the investables becomes large enough to where there's like dozens of them, it can switch between, it can jump straight to the one it needs to work on. It doesn't have to go through the if traversal. Is basically the whole point. Oh, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, scanning frequency infrastructure and, oh no, it is an investment. So the idea is that anytime it invests in it, it's got to come in here and it does need to bump its invested value. Total economy gain per tick and total economy infrastructure do not go up though. Okay, so here's a very good question. Should the infrastructure on the planet, should the readout have the updated percentile value? Or should it be happening under the hood? Because the player might want to know specifically how much there is. So it's kind of an interesting design decision in that regard. I'll have to consider that. However, in this instance, the values increase. But actually, oh no, they are iterated also. So yeah, I mean their value goes up, whatever, and then the infrastructure goes up. But that's already handled. Or that was already handled. Or wait, hold on. Okay, it's gonna have to mix into some of this, it looks like. So I'm going to have to consider this again, because this is ticking no matter what. This is doing specific stuff if there's an active selection. So if there's an active selection, okay, so here we're actually updating the econ value, and here we're updating the sliders. So I guess in here is where we can make a lot of the difference. And we can not only update the readout, but we can update the sliders as well. Alright, well. Okay, so I fixed a couple bugs with that system. I'm going to at least need one more hour to get it to the point where tech works on all three of these values and all three of these values, which means they work on these two values and these two values. And effectively, all of the mechanics in the game will have an example of them intermeshing together. So scanning will be based off of raw infrastructure and research. And then research properly affects separate elements. And whatever those elements affect in the game gets updated by the research as well. So it'll have a functioning research system with feedback and selectability, or a functioning infrastructure system that supports multiple game mechanic types, economy deficit scanning, and then it has a selection system where selections with scan capacity can utilize the scanner to create a scan and scan stuff. Alright, so that's on the right track, and I'm going to step away for a bit. After that, this video is at about an hour though, so it's good timing anyway. Thank you for sticking with it up to this point. Thank you for watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.